everybody, welcome to the video. I know, surprise, it's a double upload day, just a talking head. So there's no Goodwill, no flea market, anything in this video. I don't really do too much with these. I don't make a thumbnail or anything like that. It's just me wanting to get some points across, me wanting you guys to inform you of something, and we're gonna talk about scams on eBay. But first of all, it is Sunday. It is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Yes, I am a father. I have kids. Occasionally, you will see my kids in the videos. Those of you that are interested, I'm just having a Jameson today in the morning. Well, it's no morning. It's about midday. We're having a Jameson. Jameson is a nice Irish whiskey, very great. I mean, don't let anybody tell you, oh, you just drink Jameson. It's in every, we find that everywhere. Cheap whiskey. It's not. It's really good. And one of my personal favorites. And I keep these in my decanters a lot. Jameson. The ones I could buy for it's 1.75 liters at Costco. And you can find this at 1.75 liters at Costco. And I use that to fill my decanters. So, yeah, just my favorites that I keep in those. But either way, scams on eBay. You'll find these more, you'll encounter them more if you're just starting out on eBay, your eBay career, your full-time career, hobby career, part-time, whatever you want to call it. Generally, if you have less feedback, they tend to focus on those people. Those that have more, mature stores, they will tend to shy away from those because they know people, they've dealt with them before, so they know how to deal with scammers. So, I had 2 incidents recently, and technically they are scams. They're trying to scam somebody out of money. The one that sticks out of my head that happened a few years ago was just after during the pandemic, but it was more when people were able to go out. I sold a graphics card for $500 something. It was an AMD 570, and the person got it, and they said, "Hey, I loaded it on my computer. I know it says 570 on the card, on the serial number, everything, but when I loaded it on my computer, it says it's a 470." It's a card I'd actually been using. I'd upgraded my daughter's computer, so she was using the 570, and she had been using it for a couple of years, and I was upgrading it. And so I was like, I'll just sell it. Everybody's looking for these to mine Bitcoin, or mine cryptocurrency, not necessarily Bitcoin. I think it was Ethereum was the biggest one to mine with graphics cards. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna sell it. I can get top dollar for it right now. And so they said it was a 470. And they said, what? And a lot of people use this type of terminology. They will say, what can you do? What can you do about this? They won't ask for a return. They won't come out and say, I want to return this or anything like that. They'll leave the conversation kind of open-ended. They'll be like, this is what I got, or this is what happened to the item. Please respond to this, urgently, or something like that. They'll use very specific terminology, and it's different people, so everybody kind of knows what to do and what to use. One of the things that is kind of annoying with selling online is dealing with returns, and people are aware of this, especially on eBay. When you have smaller businesses, one-man operations, they know returns are a pain in the butt. We don't like dealing with returns, and buyers are quite aware of this. So they'll kind of leave the question open-ended, or they'll be, what can you do about this situation? They'll present you with a problem, but no solution. They want you to come up with a solution. Now, in most cases, I would say, if you offer free returns, which I believe you should, if you are a more mature store, you should definitely offer free returns. I would say just tell them, return it. Most of the time, you won't get a response to that. It'll just be, they'll end up keeping it. They'll be like, oh, whatever, this person's not going to play ball, so we'll just leave it alone. And so in the first instance I sold a golf head cover. It was a vintage. Now, vintage itself is not necessarily, and that was one of the sticking points. A vintage is very subjective. It's very relative. It's not something that you can say, this is vintage, that's vintage. Generally, in the reselling world, if something is 20 years or more, we call it vintage. But in reality, you could really call anything vintage. 10 years vintage, 15 years vintage. You could say, it was made yesterday. It's vintage. It doesn't. There's no really set rules as to what vintage. I guess if you made it today and sold it today, I guess that wouldn't be vintage. But anything old is technically vintage. Vintage style, vintage looking, vintage. So there's no real set rule as far as what is vintage and what is not vintage. And so with this item, it was a golf head cover. It was a kiwi. It was an animal. It looked like a plush. And so I sold it. The guy wanted it. Had it for $25. $20 was the lowest I was willing to go. He wanted to get it for $15. He kept saying, can you do $15? Can you do $15? I said no. Another sign of potential problems or troubles with eBay customers is if they're sending you a lot of questions. That could be an indication of a potential issue with that sale if they do end up purchasing the item. So I said no. I said the lowest I can go is $20. And it went a day after that, and he said, I really want it, so can you send me a $20 offer? And so sure enough, through the messaging system, I sent a $20 offer, and he bought it. I figured, okay, that's it, done, no questions asked. However, upon receiving the item, the buyer said, this wasn't as old as I was led to believe. What can we do about this? I'm like, okay. And I said, if you are not always try to be professional with all these responses to your customers. Then you definitely want to remain professional. Remember, eBay can see all your messages. So if you're rude, call somebody names, things like that, that could, not... I've never encountered an issue like that, so I don't know what could happen. So I said, if you're not satisfied with the item, then just go ahead and return it. And so didn't hear anything right off the bat, and sure enough, they ended up returning the item. So I got it back, and I just refunded them back the $20. And to me, it was really... what I was thinking was the buyer wanted that item for $15. They really, and once they got it in their hands, they figured, all right, this guy's not going to want to deal with the return. He's just going to give me the $5. It's just $5. He's going to give it to me, and I'll get my item for $15. But no, I stuck to my guns. I was like, you know what? No, just go ahead and return it. It was a plush. It was a plush item. Go ahead and return it. So I got it back, and it's listed in my store again. Now, the second case just happened over the course of the last 3 days. So I sent a globe out, and it was sitting inside water. It had an acrylic case around it. It was sitting inside a solution, not water. It was like some sort of a solution in there. And it had a little air bubble on top, and it moved around. And so I sent it out. Didn't think anything of it. I didn't get any correspondence with the buyer at all prior to the sale. Sent it out. Package it in the way I normally do, and the buyer gets it, and he says, hey, I got the item. The air bubble on top is a lot larger than what the picture originally showed, and there's an oily substance all over it. So I'm thinking, great, it got damaged in shipping. And now, for me, the best course of action might be to get the item back and then try to get my money through USPS. But that problem, that could take a while, and that money's gonna be tied up for a little bit. I didn't pay too much for it. I paid under $3 for the item, so I don't have that much invested in it. The buyer doesn't know that, but I know that. So in my communication with the buyer, as opposed to him sending it to me, now what gave me some warning signs initially was, first, he didn't say it was broken. There was no cracks, but he said the air bubble was larger. And there was a liquid outside, which then leads you to believe maybe there's a crack in it somewhere. It's leaking. And in my opinion, if I get something that's cracked and leaking, broken, I'm going to send it back. I'm going to be like, hey, if I ordered it on Amazon, eBay, wherever, hey, you know what? It arrived broken. I can't use it. I'm going to send it back. But he left it open-ended. And he just basically said, please address this, at your earliest convenience or whatever. And so to me, someone's fishing for a discount, basically. Now, what I did, I ended up refunding the person. And my reasoning behind it was, first of all, he's showing me a globe, the same globe, almost the same globe, in my opinion, almost the same globe, but with a larger air bubble. And it was leaking. Not broken, but it was leaking. There might have been a hairline crack somewhere. I don't know. So I didn't want to end up in a situation where perhaps he is replacing him or she, I don't know who it is really, they are replacing their broken globe or one that is less desirable with mine. So that was going through my head. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? And then also too, I don't know how well, when people return items, they don't package them up in the same way that, we do, or I do, so I don't want it to come back, jiggling. I've had an item in a large box, like a little item. Luckily it wasn't really breakable, but it was a small item, and they put it in a huge box with nothing else in it. So it was just jiggling around in there. That's annoying. So I didn't want that to happen with this item, because I didn't want any further damage to occur to it. So I just posed the question, because of those scenarios, I didn't want any further damage to it. He's probably just going to send me back his broken one that he doesn't like or is broken. I'm just going to go ahead and offer him a potential return. Now, mind you, I also bought it for only $3. So I can afford to, I had wiggle room with the item. It sold for $85. So I had some wiggle room as far as, my profit margin. I already made great money on it. So I told him, I'm willing to. Oh, and the second thing too, he goes, which was also a flag too. I've been sending you messages. I've been sending you emails. And I got no response. So he opened up a return. Now, I have 30-day free returns. So anybody can return anything that they want. They don't have to go through a return process where someone does not offer returns, which is what this person did. Because I got an email from eBay and a notification from eBay that this person would like to open a return. Do you want to accept it? So I'm like, he could have just returned it no matter what. It really didn't matter. So he didn't follow the normal process. And this person had quite a bit of feedback. So I would think they would be familiar with that process. So they didn't follow the normal process. So that was also a warning flag to me. And in the notification I got from eBay, the person said, it's a different messaging system. The person said, all communication stopped with this seller after I notified him of the problem. And he offered to potentially refund me, do a partial refund, or return the item. But I got no communication. I've been emailing him, several emails, which is completely false. I did not receive any messages from this person. And I don't know if there's a potential problem with eBay or a potential problem with or the person just is doing that to make it sound, to make it sound more believable, I guess. But to me, because I've dealt with people like this before, I'm already aware of this, that more than likely, this person just wants money back. He didn't feel comfortable paying that amount, or didn't want to pay that amount, but he did so. Now he has the item in hand, and he kind of is holding it hostage, basically. So, because I'm going to make good money on it, no matter what, I offered him 60% back. I'll give you 60%. I was thinking 50-50. That's typically what I would do. But because of the aggressive nature of the secondary message within the return messaging system, I said 60% back to quickly put out any potential fires immediately. Didn't want to deal with it. And so, and again, based on those reasons, I didn't want to get it back and it be not packaged properly, because no one really cared. When they're sending it back, they don't really care. They don't give, they're not giving the same care to the item that we are. They're just going to throw it in a box and that's it. And hopefully it makes it. I didn't want to get his bad item in the mail. And what was the other? Yeah, so and plus my profit is going to be up no matter what. It's going to be a good profit on it no matter what. So I said 60% back, and I told them, message me through here. I just said, I'm not getting your messages. Whether he sent them or not, I don't know. I'm not getting your messages. I'm not seeing them. This is through the return messaging system. It's different from the standard messaging system. I'm not seeing your messages. Just message me through here. This is the offer. Let me know. And he just said, thank you. And yes, I accept 60% off. Immediately, just like that. I'm like, okay, done. Closed out the deal. And hopefully that case is all done and I don't have to deal with it. Knock on wood. Always knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. I don't have another situation like that again. But those are my reasonings behind accepting a return and some reasons why not to accept a return. So, take that information, take that information and hopefully it helps you guys. Hopefully you learn from it. You can deal with these, there's difficult customers all the time, no matter what. I see it in store, I see it in person, I've seen it online, and, just have to be, unfortunately you have to be courteous. with these people, because you want people to return. Obviously we're trying to avoid negative feedback if we potentially can, and try to offer the best customer service, even to the people that might be trying to scam you. So just a couple instances of people trying to scam, me out of money, basically for an item that they purchased, holding the item hostage, So that's it. That's the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys take this information, apply it, use it, whatever. Don't use it. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you guys experienced any recent scams or anything on eBay? Let me know if you guys experienced some of the similar stuff that I do. I know I've heard people talk about it online. Hit the thumbs up to like the video, subscribe, bell notification, because sometimes I'll pop up with these random videos, random thoughts and all that. Every once in a while, I'll sprinkle them in my normal schedule, which is typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We go to Goodwill. We do talking points. We show you what's sold. See you on Monday.